Welcome to today's First Chesapeake Chat session. I'm Victoria Mulvihill, a First Chesapeake alumni, and I'm here to introduce the First Chesapeake Chat sponsored by Newport News Shipbuilding. I'd like to thank this session sponsor, Bechtel, for making this chat possible. Just some housekeeping. We will let the presenters speak and then open up for discussion questions later on if there is time. But feel free to put questions in the comments throughout the chat, and we'll try to get to them all. The session today is Work with College University Interns for the Betterment of Your Team, presented by Team 2199, the Robo Lions. And I will now pass it over to Paula and Shaq to introduce themselves.
Hi, welcome everybody. We are thrilled to be here and truly appreciate this opportunity. Thank you everyone at First Chesapeake. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Paula Scarfone. I am marketing advisor for Robo Lions, which is a first team, and also Pi 3. It's the Partnership and Inspiration for Engineering, Education, and Entrepreneurship. It's very long, and we abbreviate it by saying Pi 3.
And I'm Shaquille Terrell. I am an intern at PyCubed, and I am also a student at McDaniel.
And Rose Young is here.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
So I can't actually see that I'm on, but I am here. My name is Rose Young, and I am a board member and director with PyCubed, which Paula has given you the full name for. And I'm also a lead mentor with Team 2199, the Robo Lions, and I have been with the team now for 14 years. In about 2011, we set up this nonprofit, and our chat on Thursday will be to talk a little bit more about that. But what we're here to talk about today is one of the things that we have done this year is a little bit different for us, but it works out really well for first teams. And so we were hoping to kind of share a little bit about how that happened and maybe open up some doors or give some thoughts to other teams that may be interested in doing something similar in the future. So I apologize if I never do get my camera working, but that's okay. You got my voice. That's probably more important anyway. So our team started in a high school in Eldersburg, and then in about 2011, we found that starting the nonprofit was a good thing. So we've been around as a nonprofit since then. And one of the reasons that it works so well for us is that we have the opportunity to do more community connections. So I try to do as much as I can to interact with things like our technology council. We're in Carroll County. We are the only FRC team in Carroll County. We interact with other organizations that form ad hoc committees sometimes to talk about STEM. And as it turned out, a few years ago at one of those gatherings, I met a representative from McDaniel College, Josh Ambrose, and his job, among many other things, is campus and community engagement. So in part of his job then, he let us know about one of the projects that was going on with one of the marketing classes to offer internship opportunities to the students and to look for businesses and nonprofits that might be able to connect with them. So when we found out about that, we made our application, and that was the beginning of how we got to where we are today. So Paula really took the lead on that, so she can talk a little bit more about how that transpired.
Sure. First, I filled out an application from Pi 3 and saying what tasks we had for this possible intern. And I was very specific and laid out them in what I thought was the priority of the task that we needed to accomplish, but also wanted to give the intern a little bit of freedom as to what he or she would want and different tasks. So that way they had a diverse items to pick from. And then I attended the kickoff meeting at McDaniel College where I met Shaquille and also met other mentors and mentees and really had an opportunity to talk about FIRST and our robotics team and Pi 3 to many people in the community that had never heard of us. And the way I first was introduced to Pi 3 and Robo Lions and FIRST was they held an open house last year, and my daughter was going to join the team, and I had volunteered to do some marketing. And because of my daughter's other commitments and school class load, she decided not to stay a member, but I'd already committed, and I was very impressed with all the work that this entire group, it was the Rose, it was the other board members, it was staff, faculty that were engaged from the community, the students, the members. So I really wanted to be a part of it. And I also, like Rose, attended different events in the community, the Carroll County Technology Council, and also through the Carroll County Public Library System, and really try to get our word and our name out there. And also, we had done partnerships with the Carroll County Public Schools and Boys and Girls Club of Westminster, and we were team members for a grant, and that was a very exciting project as well. So after I met with Shaq, we really had some amazing things planned. We were doing, news releases and flyers, and we had planned an open house for him to really help with the planning and promotion, and we had the news release done, and then COVID-19 happened. So we really were lucky that we had so many different projects on the back burner. So then the projects were, unfortunately, we couldn't then work directly with the team and do more of those community and outreach projects. We then shifted gears and we really looked at our logo, our branding, and some other marketing initiatives. And I will share my screen now and show you an old logo that we had done. And I'm pulling that up. They were going to share the screen. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I'm going to have to share myself.
It's having a hard time seeing the screen. It's black currently.
Okay, we'll get back to that in a minute because they were going to share the screen for me. So I was going to show you our former logo, which unfortunately did not have the name of the actual wording of Pi 3. It was just the letters, and it was really difficult for people in the public to really understand what we were doing with the logo, what it really represented in our branding. So we really wanted something rather than we had an old-fashioned style font. We wanted something more sans serif, something more like an Arial, something that looked more clean, and the colors, and have the branding really reflect the forward-thinking technology of our robotics group. And we also wanted the logo to have different components because we wanted to look how was it going to be used, whether it was a large-scale banner at an event, whether it was for Facebook, letterhead, news releases, etc. So we looked at that at different components.
Okay, so I guess I'm going to go on to my section. Working for Nonprofits is a class at McDaniel College, and that's how I pretty much found PyCubed. So I was really interested in interning for them because of the marketing aspect of it. I saw Miss Scarfone's name and also the fact that she had experience in marketing, and I have a minor in marketing, so I was really interested in interning for them. And so I got to meet her within like the second week of school, and we had a conversation about some of the tasks and stuff that I would be doing over the course of the semester. So I selected it because of the marketing experience, and also to learn about more of the engineering and technology aspect that pretty much PyCubed has. And also the fact that, in society right now, we're really advancing with technology and how important it could be to, know more about it. And also I chose it because of the tasks that she listed, which were really specific with marketing and stuff that I really want to get under my belt, since, of course, after I graduate, I'll be having to go into the workforce, and it'd be good to know some of these things. So some projects that we've worked on, I've done some grant researches for PyCubed. I went to the Nonprofit Center in Westminster, Maryland, and I've done some grant research for them on possible grants that they would be interested in for the nonprofit. I've also, as Paula said before, has done some things with an open house to advertise for their summer sessions, but due to COVID-19, we weren't able to do that anymore, so we'll push it off for another time. And then a big one that we've been working on is the logo redesign.
I'm going to jump back. I just got a message. I was able to share my screen now. So let me try to show you the old logo first, if I may.
Great.
While we're sorting out the screen stuff, I did want to jump in and say that when we first started, I wanted to stress that when we first started, our idea to get an intern wasn't strictly about the logo. It was more our image, outreach, other things that we can do. So we have also tried to work to find other ways to keep Shaq around for a little while. And we do hope to figure out a way to bring him on board for like part of the summer. So I think that would be pretty exciting, and we have our fingers crossed that we'll be able to use some grant funding to keep him around to kind of continue this work, because there are certainly a lot of ways that we can find people in the community to come in and work on our team with us. And I know that a lot of mentors know that, you know, you don't just need technical mentors and technical support for your team. There are lots of different areas that teams need support. And sometimes just pulling in the expertise you can do it on a short-term basis. But part of what had to happen was, you know, learning about kind of how we operate, since Jack hadn't had an experience on a team before. And so now that we've kind of invested this time in working with him in the class, we want to sort of leverage that a little bit into the future. So that's another way that sometimes we have to be flexible and sort of put things together, a little piece here, you know, that opportunity, and then finding another opportunity to kind of keep him around. So that's how some of the creativity is important to be able to maximize not just our volunteer time, but other opportunities, other skills that we have, the skill sets that we can bring to support the team. There's no real simple answer. There's no one way to do that. We have to just sort of figure out things that and take advantage of opportunities as they come along. So for different teams and in different areas, that might be possible. It might not be possible. I think the important thing to stress is sort of getting to know people in your community that might offer something, or if you ask these questions, would you think about offering this? Would it be possible to arrange something through a class? Is there someone who's a student who's looking for something individual, would like to reach out in one of these areas and to start a conversation? So there's no way for us to say this is the steps that you take to do this, but certainly we're offering some ideas about things that have kind of worked out for us. So I'm not sure if we're going to be able to show you that. I think
yes, just jump ahead.
Or if you
just jump ahead.
It's going to be the old logo, but
that's okay. Just jump ahead.
The new one is more exciting.
Yeah. Okay. We can show the logos that we've been working on now. Cool. So before I even start, I would like to shout out to my good friend at McDaniel College, Julia Robinson. She was an awesome hand in this logo design. She was really great with communication, you know, through everything over Zoom. And also, you know, every week we would communicate on retouches and, you know, redesigns of some ideas that we've had. So now I'll go into this one. For phase one, we have, you know, different colorways of the pie gear that we were focusing on for the new logo. And then in phase two, we've decided to stick to the colors of blue and white. And this certain shade of blue seemed like a really neutral type of color that we wanted to focus on that could go well with like darker colors, and also for different like landscapes and different sites as well, like social media on the PieCube website and things like that. And then in phase two on the right side, we're also wanting to have the full name of PieCube so that people were kind of like seeing this and being like, oh, okay, so this is what PieCube stands for. And then as we scroll down into the final logo, we have now the final logo that we worked on, which we just wrapped up. Let me see where I can get it. Here. Yep. So this is our final logo, and we just wrapped it up last week. So we have one on the left for the Facebook, and then we have one on the right for the for any other type of layouts, and that's the rectangular one. So this is the final logo that we'll be having on for PieCubed. So yeah.
That looks great. So can you tell how that process and the design process and what went into that for you as you were figuring out what to do with it?
So pretty much for the logos and stuff, we had to go through, you know, kind of like taking inspiration from different logos that we've seen, kind of like getting one solid picture formed, and then going into like the other aspects of color, you know, orientation, where this would be set up and things like that. And as we went down, you know, Rose, Paula, and I were communicating over Zoom and kind of going through which ideas we liked, which ones we didn't like, and then also talking to Julia to try to get like an actual image made. And she did such a great job.
It looks really cool. And what was it like for you, Shaquille, to come in and, you know, because you hadn't been on a first team at all, right?
No.
So what was this? I know you really didn't get the chance to see like the season probably, but what was it like for you?
It was really awesome. I don't know much about like robotics and engineering, so when I was jumping in, it was kind of just like, oh, well, this is a new experience and getting to see new things. And Paul and Rose have been awesome throughout the whole way.
Well, we were lucky. We did invite him to our workshop, and so he did meet some people. But again, COVID-19 happened, so he didn't interact with the team as much as we really wanted him to.
Yeah.
Well, we were wondering if we could share a little bit of information about how to contact us if there were some follow-up questions. We do intend to keep this going for a little bit longer, and we would be happy to have people talk to us. If we can work this out to keep Shaq around, we'll have him get more involved, I think, with the team. We're hoping maybe working with some of the students to carry on some of the work that he's doing. We actually have a small group of students right now that have formed kind of a sub-team just to work on the website. And so we're doing that in concert with the PyCube website. I think it's a great opportunity for teams to think about right now too. There are things that you can continue to work on. And certainly the website and updating your website, maybe revamping things, those are things that can easily fit very well with things that you can do from home. So we have a number of sub-teams that have kind of formed, and we hope to keep them going. And they're working on these little projects. We have Zoom meetings about once a week. So I think it's really important to stress that teams should still stay active in some way, stay connected to your members, kind of see what's going on, and look for those opportunities for things that work well in this kind of environment. So we'd be happy to share anything about that. And we've worked with other teams in the past. Maybe something we'd like to do if this goes on any further is work out some way that we can make connections with other teams as well. I think that would kind of be awesome.
And definitely, just to reiterate what Rose said, they had the RoboLions email address there, and you can reach out to anyone on our team, whether it be fundraising or marketing, news releases, grant proposals, anything, that we would always be of assistance to the other teams, because we're all in this together with FIRST.
So I don't think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I didn't see that there are any specific questions, but there may have been just a couple of things that we were hoping to talk about a little bit more. I think we did mention that Shaq didn't have any experience, but he had a choice of other things that he could do, and some of the things that he told us about what kind of engaged him. It's good for us to know, and maybe for others to know too, like, how do you engage someone who doesn't really know anything about, who isn't coming from within the community? We always tend to recruit our alumni, many people from within the community if we can. I think it's really great, but I think this is a good example of recruitment outside the community and bringing folks in, and we'll certainly stay in touch and try to encourage that sort of participation in the community. So I don't know if you wanted to add anything else, Shaq. What did you see in our nonprofit as someplace to go work for that you thought kind of stood out for you?
So things that I did really like is that Paula was so organized at our first meeting. It was amazing, because I'm a really organized person too. So to see all of the kind of like the tasks and ideas that they wanted for their nonprofit was just amazing. And I was like, wow, I would love to work with them, because they seem to really know what they're doing. And also things with the marketing aspect, and also there was things about making videos too, and I have a hand in that as well. So that would have been pretty cool to do down the road as well. But yeah, it was a great team, and it seemed really fun. So.
When it came for you, Paul and Rose, to try to plan the intern position, like what you wanted to do, I know you mentioned that it was something that you wanted, that to kind of work with each other, like work with whoever was intern and stuff. So how did you plan ahead for those roles and those positions that they were going to be taking, that you took?
Sure. I think prior planning prevents poor performance, that little acronym you always hear. And it's so true. I really tried to list many different tasks, because we didn't know what type of person was really applying or would be interested. So I really wanted to focus on some technology aspects, some writing aspects, fundraising, and just give the person a very mix. Maybe someone came from an art background that was coming to this internship and wanted those types of things, working with branding or logos, but then we might have someone who was a writer but maybe wanted to reach out and do a little bit more technology aspects. So I think we really wanted to apply so many different facets of what we do at Pi 3. And two, when these robotics groups are looking out and doing their community outreach to really spread the word about their organizations, especially when they're trying to even look for interns, you don't necessarily need a person that's very techie to be working and doing an internship with a tech robotics group. We also need people that have an interest in history or political science, because we've had people from the community help with our political advocacy. So it really, really depends on what a person's interest, what they're interested in, because we'll find something for them to do with Pi 3 and also robotics, because there's so many different facets. And those, oftentimes we do a lot of the marketing when it's off season, because that way during the competition season, you're in high gear. You're doing the t-shirts, you're doing the news releases, but it's nice to take a breather when it's off season and really focus on some of these other back burner projects. Okay, we want to rebrand and update and redesign our entire website, which is a project that we've started where we were looking at WordPress templates, what works, what doesn't work, do we have the technology to support these types of add-ins, and really look at some of the technical issues, but also the use of the user and the visitor of our website. What type of information do they want, and what kind of features do we want in the website? So that's our next project we're going to tackle.
Yeah, and we got started with that, and that was related to the logo design, because we wanted to have something that was going to really work well with this redesign, so that we could maximize not only for our website, but also, if you saw one of the logos that Jack put up was a circle, because we knew that for Facebook and social media, like, we need something that pops in a circle that keeps all of the important information. And I think that was one of the hardest things to do, because our old logo, you'd have to shrink it down to put it in a circle, and we designed it. We didn't think anything about putting it in a circle. Like, who wants to start out saying you're going to be forced to a certain shape? But you find out as you start using some of these platforms that you have to take these things into account and make it work for you in a lot of different ways. I was explaining to the board when we presented this how much thought had gone into it. It wasn't just a random, we're going to have a new logo. It was, we're redesigning the whole outside of what people see of us. And I do think it's important to understand that we're going to talk a little bit more about the nonprofit aspect of this on Thursday. Maybe I'll get my camera to work. But the idea of having a nonprofit is something that a lot of teams think about, but it's not just for the team. In our case, there are about 20 teams that are affiliated. So our look and our brand as the nonprofit has to not take away from, and those who might be familiar with the RoboLines logo know that this is not the RoboLines logo. It's completely separate, because the organization is sort of an umbrella for individual teams that have their individual personalities. So we've made a point not to make it too close to or overlapping any of the teams, but something that would be easily transferred to them to put in the corner of their own Facebook page, their own website. So that's part of the consideration. And I know the folks that I've talked to that are going to be presenting with us on Thursday have a similar situation where you have multiple teams, and teams have their own personality and their own branding. So it does get fairly complicated with the branding. It's probably not as simple as a lot of people think it is to come up with something that looks catchy and looks pretty on the screen. It's a lot more than that, especially when your organization is spread out the way ours is. So
I'm absolutely sure that's got to be a hassle, because each team has, such specifics in their design, whether it's from, the colors that you wear at competition, and, this what it looks like, everything is really laid out. So you really do have to encompass all of that in a way and not make it look crazy. So it looks great. You guys have done a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else, any other kind of or anything that you have for anybody who's watching?
I didn't hear the last sentence. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry. Do you have any other advice or any kind of just really cool things that you went through through this process to share with anybody listening?
I think that I would say thanks to Shaq and Paula for a lot of hard work. It was not an easy thing. You should never think that it's going to be an easy thing, because that would lead you not to put the effort in to making the connections and making it clear and making it a valuable experience. But with that effort, the experience is valuable not only to the individual, but to us as an organization. And we certainly learned a lot. So if that opportunity comes along for another group, whether it's a nonprofit or a team, and it's going to be a little bit of work, it's worth it. I definitely would say go for it, make those contacts, and start out by making as many contacts. You just never know what's going to lead you. Joining groups, it's a little bit time consuming, but going to community groups, talking to people, introducing yourself, we all do it all the time, and it doesn't always pay off. But when it does, it can pay off pretty big and make it worth all of the effort that it took just to make those contacts in our community.
I agree. And Shaq, just because you're graduating from college next year does not mean that you're leaving Pi 3. We're going to still ask you for your advice.
Oh, yeah,
Victoria, tell them what happens, right? You never get to leave, right?
Never know.
Oh, of course. Whenever you guys need my help, you know how to find me.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess some advice maybe for future interns, people who would like to intern, maybe 3 things that I kind of came up with were essentially time management. Time management, I think, is a really big one because you're going to take that into like many different areas of your life as well. And another one, of course, is communication. Communication has been a big one too, especially with COVID-19. We're starting to see more use of Zoom, more use of video chatting, more use of emailing. Things are going like that. And that's kind of how the world is moving, where things are becoming easier to communicate online. And also another one would definitely be to, brainstorming too. Because some ideas that Paula and Rose had, would bounce off of mine, and then I would share things with them, and then it would be kind of get to see a new perspective. So that was a pretty great thing to do too.
Also, we use Team Snap. It's an app, and that helps us with team management. And that was wonderful just for sharing, Shaq's information with the team and vice versa, even contact information and meetings or Zoom meetings, because we also had meetings with the website group of Robo Lions and working with them on some web issues, because some of the issues I found with the Pi 3 website when I was doing research, some tech things, then I would bring up to their attention. So it was just that sharing of ideas and sharing that information through that Team Snap app, and that really was helpful, of course, with Zoom as well. Looking at using technology a great deal.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here today. You all have done a great job sharing. Just thank you again. And I want to take the chance to thank our sponsor, Bechtel, once again, and have a great rest of your day.